Hey guys, welcome back to the Missing Piece podcast. I'm here today to do something a little bit different to what I usually do. I've got an exciting announcement to make today. Recently just qualified in a course that I was taking, training in CBT therapy. So I'm going to incorporate that into the podcast and I'm going to use it as a completely different section of the Missing Piece. It's going to be Missing Piece Therapy Chats with Elisha. I've got a very special guest with me here today. She's already been on here twice already. But for the viewers that haven't watched the podcast, can you please say who you are and tell them a little bit about yourself?
My name is Emmie and I'm a nurse associate and in mental health, and I am a domestic violence survivor and very passionate about now helping other women and men where I can to speak their truth.
And also, I just want to say that October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, so it's very important that we keep having these conversations, raising more awareness. And if there's any viewers watching that knows anyone in any kind of scenario that's going through domestic violence, to just try and get them some help, really. Or if there's any viewers that are watching that you yourself are experiencing domestic violence at the moment, to just reach out. I will share some organisations at the end of this episode that you can contact, and also myself if ever you wanted someone to talk to. So what's been happening, Emmie?
Oh, so much. I just feel like life is lifing right now.
Yeah.
I feel like resilience is like resiliating. I don't know whether that's the right word, but like I just feel like life is lifing and a lot of growth is happening and a lot of awareness around certain areas of my life that may be affecting my mental, which come with very big decisions. But I feel like I'm quite strong to be making those decisions right now. But it's a place where I'm, because like unknown territory. I don't really know how to navigate feeling strong about change, because it's always been something I've wavered away from. But I'm here and just trying to navigate what's next, really.
Yeah. And I want to make the title of this episode, so obviously this is going to be episode 1 of the Therapy Chats with Elisha. I want to make the title of this episode staying in places where you're not valued at the detriment of your own mental health. So I think sometimes when you've got a very resilient character or personality, you can stay in relationships, friendships, areas, places, jobs, all of that, where you're not really being valued. And if you're a certain type of person, for instance, like if you're a people pleaser, like I'm like it myself, I'm not as much like it as I was in the past, but I used to be a big people pleaser, no boundaries, couldn't ever say no to anyone, didn't know how to say no, would always just say yes if I was asked to do something because I felt like I had to. And when you're that kind of person, I think staying in situations where you're not valued, it's at the detriment of your own mental health. It gets hard and you do end up being walked all over.
I think my job doesn't help as well. Obviously, I'm in nursing and I think my job is to fix people or to make their life better or create better healthcare outcomes or manage mental health. And I think I'm in that job 48, 50 hours a week. It's something that I'm good at, otherwise I wouldn't do it. But I think it flows into like every other aspect of my life.
Yeah.
And one thing, you can't fix people. You know, like I can get given a set of observations or a clinical diagnosis and I can do my best to manage it. But you can't fix people in your own personal life. And I think that's something I've had to really allow to resonate with me. And obviously I've just been really badly injured and I've been off work and I've been on crutches and been unable to get about and stuff, and it's really shown me who is actually there, because the people I thought would like step up and help me are nowhere to be found. And I think it's been like a really rough month, but I think I've been able to see actually what does affect me, because I haven't been able to go and do the things that I would have normally jumped up and be like, yeah, I can do that, because people haven't asked me. I've actually felt better for not having to run around after everybody. And I think that's been quite a like eye-opening experience as well.
Of how much you actually do. And I think that like when we was going through COVID and lockdown and stuff like that, that made people realise as well, because sometimes people, not everyone, but you can keep yourself so busy in life and doing all this stuff, and then when you're forced, something happens like, you know, lockdown, or you're injured and you're forced to actually sit down and stay in the house more. um it makes you realize how much you do actually do on a day to day. And then it also kind of like, if you do suffer with mental health, or if you're somebody that sits in your thoughts, it can be a bad thing as well, because you've got all this time now to sit in the house, or, you know, you can't just go out and keep yourself
Yeah.
busy
And
anymore
I'm
to
always
take your
out.
mind off
Like I'm
things.
always
Yeah.
out doing
So
something.
you've got
So
loads of time to sit in the house, overthink, think about your whole life, getting your thoughts, getting your feelings, and think these things and feel these things that normally you'd just be out keeping yourself busy. So you ain't got time to sit down and think about things. You know what I
I think
mean?
it's been like for the first time in probably, I would probably maybe about 8 years, I've gone back on a mood stabilizer, which was a big thing for me because I always felt like if I had to reach to the GP and ask for meds, it was a failure, or I was going back, or I'd lost the fight. And like I felt really powerful after I come off the call, after deciding to take control of my mental health. Because it wasn't like I felt like I was spiraling, it just felt like I couldn't control the bounce between the lows and the high moments. I felt like I was going from one extreme to the next. And it was exhausting, like completely exhausting. So I just asked to go on a mood stabilizer, and it's completely changed. Like I'm not, my brain isn't tired. Like it's not loud. Everything has been like minimized for the first time probably in nearly a decade.
Yeah.
And it's not for everyone, and it was never for me. It's not, you know, I've always chose counselling or speaking to my friends or family or self-help and stuff like that, and self-care, but I've really valued my confidence and my like growth to speak to the GP and say, actually, I think I might need a little bit of help here.
Yeah, because I can imagine like that must be really hard, and I think because of the whole stigma around mental health, and some people are too embarrassed or they feel shame or to go and ask for help, but it's actually strength in someone doing that, but people don't see it as that. And for the purpose of the viewers, would you mind sharing like what it is that you're on? It might be able to help someone that's feeling the way you was feeling, or
Yeah,
is
so
that something you don't want to talk about?
no, I can talk about it. So basically, I rang the GP and they went through like a pretty standard set of questions with you. And he deemed that I was hitting sort of like between a middle and a low stage of depression, which I would probably admitted myself. But I've always been like, oh, I've got PTSD and I've got anxiety. When you hear the word depression, it just like makes me shudder. I think, oh, but I shouldn't be depressed because my life's set. Do you know what I mean? I've got a lovely family, lovely friends, great job. But then he was like, you've tried counselling. I could refer you, but it's probably going to take months. And I think you probably need something to help you now. So they put me on the lowest dose of sertraline. So for people that don't know about sertraline, there's like multiple doses. So it goes from anything from 25 milligrams, I think, all the way up to 150 milligrams. Now, some people will start on the highest dose depending on what you sort of score. But I was quite passionate about starting on the lowest dose to see how that affected me. And when I had my 2-week catch up, he was happy to keep me on this dose because I'd felt the impact already. So it takes around 2 weeks to kick in. Okay. But I just felt like So he then wants me to do a 2-month check-in. And then from there, we either wean down or we go up. But it's really important that you shouldn't just stop taking sertraline. It should be weaned off. And there are loads of side effects. You can either put weight on or weight off. Your sex drive can go. But I think for me, like, all of those side effects are absolutely minimal compared to me
Your
feeling
mental health
at rest.
should be priority.
Yeah, like my rest and digest, like, it's just not there. Like I just couldn't rest. And I think being made to sit in the house because of my ankles and not being able to get about, I didn't like how I felt. And I realised that I've been doing a lot of deflection. And was I really healing, or was I suppressing and hiding from it?
And this is what people do. And there's actually like the term, obviously, high functioning depression. So people always presume that a depressed person is somebody that lies in bed all day, that doesn't do nothing. But actually, you can have somebody that's a high functioning depressant, and they will go to work every day, do their daily routine, do what they need to do, get jobs done, complete all tasks and do everything. But deep down, they're depressed. And then some people that are depressed, it's you got the two like polar opposites. So you got the ones that like just want to lie in bed all day, they've got no energy to do anything. Or you got the people that are depressed that are keeping themselves busy to take their mind off the depression.
Yeah.
So they're overworking themselves, they're running around all day, not really chilling out. Because when they do go home and close the door and sit down and chill out, they're in their thoughts and they're depressed and whatever. So you get like I said, there's a lot of people that just presume that a depressed person must be someone that just sits on the sofa and can't move all day, but actually you can be depressed and you can still live and lead a normal life and still have a job and hold down a job and do this and do that. But that's just what they class as the term high functioning depression.
I think I've just realised that I'm looking for validation from people that are never going to give it me. And that's in a lot of areas of my life. And I think it's the types of people that I'm putting myself around maybe, and behaviours that I'm allowing in certain areas of my life, and things that I would presume as quite normal validation or recognition aren't happening in certain areas of my life where I feel like I'm doing amazing, but then it's not recognised, and then I double guess myself. You know, like going on medication that I'm giving to residents at work was a really difficult choice to make, because obviously I have a responsibility for those residents as well. But I felt like I can't go into work, for instance, and give my all if I'm not looking after myself. And there's no shame in it either.
You're still human yourself. And I think I know a girl that she works in mental health, and she's worked in mental health for 15 years now, and she works in a mental home, and her mental health is really bad now from doing that job.
I think you are a product of your environment.
She started the job, she started it to obviously help people with mental health issues, but she actually gets punched, she gets her hair pulled, she gets spat on, she gets called names, and it's took a detriment on her. Her mental health now, and she's ended up with mental health issues just from going to do that job to try and help other people. And you're only a human as well, and you've got your own life. And it's like they say that therapists, they have therapy themselves.
Yeah.
Like they see clients all day and listen to their problems, and they're a therapist to them, but then they also have their own therapist themselves to keep them sane, sort of thing. So you're only human as well. You've been through a lot in life. You decided you wanted to take the mental health route because of what you've been through, and you want to help other people, but also like it's a big reminder to try and sometimes remember that we've got to keep ourselves as a priority as well.
100%, yeah.
And we worry about other people and our jobs and all of that, but we need to make sure that we're keeping ourselves as a priority also.
I think it's quite I do a lot outside of work for myself. So I do a lot of online courses that are free for conflict resolution and overstimulation. I have my ways at work where, if I've got a very high functioning unit, that I can keep myself not overstimulated and remain calm, because I'm in a position of trust, and I'm in a position of power as somebody that's leading a unit of a group of staff as well. And I take it very seriously. I do not mess around when it comes to work. It's something that I work extremely hard for. Obviously, I'm a registrant on the NMC, and it's something that I will not allow a mistake because of my own mental health to happen. But I think you do become a product of your environment, and I'm not sure whether working long-term in mental health is a valuable thing. I think, I'm very fortunate within my role that I can cover all 4 fields of nursing, and I think that's quite a good thing, because it means I could probably have a break and maybe go into something clinical. But I think I take my hat off to mental health nurses in particular, because it's relentless.
Yeah.
And you don't get a minute's peace, and then often you come home exhausted and you haven't even got time to do self-care. When you're talking about levels of depression, it's often the thought of showering, the thought of brushing your teeth, the thought of having to cook a meal. It's not that you don't want to do it, or that you're dirty, or that you're lazy. It's that you're exhausted before you even begin your list of tasks for the day.
But those are the stereotypes that people give people that suffer with depression. And that's why there's such a big stigma around it, and people are too embarrassed or ashamed to come out and say that they're feeling depressed, because that it's just like the stereotypes within anything that shouldn't be there. The stereotypes within domestic violence, the first thing people say to you, "Oh, what did you do then to make him hit you?" Or, "Oh, well, why didn't you leave? He was that bad." And then it's same with mental health and depression. If someone says they're depressed, "Oh, they're not depressed, they're just lazy, they just want to lie in bed all day, they can't bother to get up and do nothing, they've got no get up and go." These are the stereotypes that have been around for years, and this is why there's so much shame within our generation and young people to talk on podcasts about mental health. And this is why I wanted to do it, because people will only talk about what they think is trending or cool.
Yeah.
But there's other people out there that are really suffering, and they're watching these things, or they're, you know, that they will just want to, they're at home, they're in their bed depressed, and they don't really go out and socialise, and they're probably feeling, some people even feeling suicidal. So even just to hear, if they come across things like this, and just to hear that, you know, there are people like yourself that's willing to come on and talk about like your mental health and your depression and stuff, and that it's okay to talk about it, and you're not alone, sort of thing.
I was told by somebody when I first started uni that I'd never make it as a mental health, like I'd never work in mental health nursing because of my mental health. And it spurred me on like next level.
Yeah, that gave
and
you
I
that
really struggled
push.
at uni. Like I was always an advocate for when things don't go right at uni and when things are hard at uni, because people, you know, you sit in these meetings at uni and they talk, like you get students from the years before, and they talk about how amazing the course is and how amazing this is and you're going to be the best at, but actually is it? Because some people really struggle, and I went through so much at uni. Like I'm not even joking. I lost 2 grandparents over the space of 12 weeks. I was graduating literally maybe just weeks after that, and I got assignments to write and had my car stolen. It just sounds like a movie, but I went through so much, and uni was really hard. I mean, it kept me grounded because it had something for me to focus on, but actually it was probably to my detriment, because what happened was I pushed it to the side and got my degree done. And once I'd finished my degree, everything that had happened to me came flooding back, and I couldn't cope with it.
Yeah, because you was just focusing on your assignments and stuff, so you was blocking everything else out, and then once you finish that, it all hit you. Uni is you. Listen, uni is not for the weak. I went to uni. I done business management, and I'm telling you now, like I remember nights staying up with post-it notes all over my wall, trying to get my assignment done.
Yeah.
That's got to be in deadlines in a couple of hours, like not sleeping. Like uni is not for
And
the
my
weak.
course, I did 1 day at uni, 1 day on placement, and 2 days at work. So I was juggling 3 different destinations within 4 days. You know, and then I having to go to new placements, meet new people, meet new residents, you know, it was hard work, and I didn't really have like the mental stamina for it. But I'd promised both my granddads that I would finish, and I did, and that was kind of what spurred me to get there. But I feel like I've reached a point now where a change needs to happen, and it needs to come from me. And I feel like maybe I've skirted around certain things and maybe blamed other people or scenarios for why my life has been at a bit of a standstill. Been single for a while. The 3 major relationships I've been in have been absolute hell. And I feel like me and you have discussed soul ties before, and I'm starting to feel like maybe I have a bit of a soul tie to Birmingham. And I feel like all my traumas happened here or very close to here. And am I sitting stagnant because I haven't changed my environment? And it's a really difficult thing to come to terms with. Like I don't know whether that's the right answer, and I don't want to feel like I'm running away.
You
but
you can't heal in the same environment that made you sick. You can't. And I know people that have like gone to America for like 2 years, healed, and then come back or whatever. I myself obviously moved to Stratford upon Avon for 3.5 years. Why did I come back to Birmingham? Like I regret this a lot. Like, but obviously for me it was like the family, to be close to my mum and stuff. But you can't, like, you have to go somewhere else to heal when you've been through trauma, or you have to be in a different environment. And just even getting out of Birmingham and going somewhere else, even if it's just like for what I did 3.5 years and then coming back, but you see, like, it's completely different. Like I used to walk down the road where I live and everyone's like, hi, good morning, you okay? And so if I'd done that in Birmingham, people were like, this woman's crazy, or what does she want, why is she talking to me for, or give me attitude, or just look at me and not say hello back. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
I think in my head I wanted to undo or fix all the things that had gone wrong by staying here and making it happen, and it just hasn't. And to be honest, it's getting worse. I think the environment or the culture that we have now, like especially for dating, no one wants to commit. And I'm someone that wants commitment. I'm not somebody that wants to be dating numerous people or laying down with numerous people, or I'm just not that person. And I want to find a long-term committed relationship. I don't have children. We both know that that's my goal. And it's like, it doesn't matter where you end up, but I do think the environment that I'm in right now is not helping, because it's constant reminders of, like, even driving here, I drove past somewhere that I remember being in a bit of a situation within the car, like or like those little things. Like, it's a constant reminder, and okay, it might not instantly affect me or burst into tears or have a panic attack or anything like that. It doesn't. But is it healthy to be constantly around it? I have beautiful friends in Birmingham, I'm not going to lie, but they're types of friends that will be there for life, like no matter where I went.
Yeah.
I don't have family in Birmingham. I don't have a boyfriend.
Yeah.
My job could take me anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
I just think I'm getting to a point now where I know a significant change needs to happen.
You need a fresh start. And like you said, in a fresh environment, a fresh area, because you can't start from fresh here because so much has happened here. You've been through so much trauma. And like you said, you're getting constant reminders. You could just drive somewhere and drive past a place where it's triggering for you. So you can't, you really can't heal in the same environment that made you sick. And that's obviously a big quote, and it is the truth. And I think the thing what I admire the most and love about you is that you will come on these podcasts and you will be so real and raw and honest and open. And there's a lot of people that do podcasts and they don't do that, and they're scared of how it will make them look online, on social media, so they'll only say certain things. But you just come on and you openly share, you tell the truth, you don't lie. And there's not many people like that, and it's just, I admire it. Like, I love that about you. I think that you have great accountability, and you're just so open and honest and raw and real. Like, whether it's going to make you look good or bad, you just tell the truth and you just be real, and there's not many people like that.
I think I really struggled, like, through my younger years. Like, when I say younger years, probably like from 15 to maybe 25, where I hid a lot of how I felt, and I just combusted, and it affected relationships with my parents and my sister and types of men I was dating, and I was always seeking validation, and I just don't care anymore. It's exhausting. I just don't care. Of course I care about my morals and how I carry myself and how people see me, but I just don't care. Like,
the people
I can't.
that you were seeking validation from probably don't even validate themselves. Like,
at all.
They're probably looking at other people for validation themselves, or looking up to celebrities for like trying to be like them. And that's the thing about this generation. Like, people perceive certain things as cool, so they'll act like that just to be in with the crowd or whatever. But if you're trying to do something that's different to what people perceive as cool, then you won't fit in with them. But I've always been that kind of person where, like, I'm not gonna do certain things that don't align with me just to have friends.
I'd rather have a minute group of people around me that value me and look after me, and that I know that they're. I speak about my best friend all the time, but she's just like, I don't know what I did in life to get her. Like, even like the last month where I've just been like so low and like lost because I couldn't go gym, couldn't go boxing, couldn't just jump into the mountains and go hiking. Like, I haven't been able to do anything. I've literally been either in a boot or on crutches. And like, she's just there. Just doesn't matter. There's no, oh, where have you been, or you haven't called me, or you haven't seen your goddaughter, or it's just none of that. It's not a heavy friendship. It is just what it is. But like, I live by the saying that I will never, ever, ever allow my behaviour to impact somebody else's mental health. And that's why I'll always be open and I'll always be honest, and I don't care what people think, because I might be helping somebody that you'd never know has got an issue that will never speak about it. Yeah. But also it allows people to understand maybe why I have been the way I've been in my life. I am very guarded and I'm very cautious about who I trust, and I can question quite a lot of sort of motives behind certain things. Like, the other day, someone offered to take me to the hospital, and I was like, why? Because I'm like, well, what's the reason? Why are you trying to help me? But it's something I'm working on, and I have to be more open. But I think I've been too trusting post-trauma. So I thought, if I give people my trust, it'll allow them to, like, show me the trust. But actually it burns you, and I think I need to be a little bit more guarded and let people earn the trust. But I think I've become like hyper independent. Like, I'm not even bothered about dating, and the people that I do come across that catch my attention, not to like sound big headed, but they always say, oh, you're such a good person, I don't want to mess you around. And I hear it time and time again, and that's cool. It's disappointing, but it's cool. But like, when's my time? Yeah. When am I going to be seen for who I am? And when someone going to think, you know what, I want to look after her? And It's the environment that I'm in.
I truly believe as well that when you don't focus on dating and focus on trying to find a relationship and stuff, and just start putting your full focus on yourself and making yourself the best person you can be, you will meet a man that will align with you, that will be your match. Because I think that obviously, well, you know this anyway, but the people that you've been through stuff with in the past, they wasn't good enough for you. And I think it's the type of guys that people like us go for.
Yeah.
So I think that if you just take your mind off it and fully focus on building yourself up to the best version of you, you will probably meet a man in alignment with you that's the best version of him, that is everything like you, got your morals, got your standards, probably might not have children himself the same as you. But I think while you're searching for it, it doesn't come to you. I think you have to fully work on yourself, love yourself, build yourself up, and then it will probably come to you.
One thing I definitely started to do was question men's intentions. So like, I'm not a big dater, but I will ask what your intention is with me, and not straight away. Like, obviously you have to give it a bit of time before you look like a crazy person. But like, if I'm starting to feel something, you're well within your right to say, I'm feeling like this. How are you feeling?
Yeah.
Because if you're not on the same page, it doesn't matter how long you leave it, it's never going to align.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important to guard yourself in those scenarios.
Yeah.
And if that person turns around and says they're not on the same page with you and you can handle that, cool, you can keep doing what you're doing. But it's at that point you remove yourself if you feel like you can't. And I think that's where people sit in scenarios like jobs, work, life, friends, whatever, feeling uncomfortable because they just are so scared to lose something that makes them happy.
Yeah.
But is it making you happy?
Yeah.
Is it exactly what you want? Is it 100%? Or are you letting like things slide just because it brings a bit of happiness?
I think sometimes when you're searching for it so much, you ignore certain things because you just want to be with someone, or you just want to settle down and have a relationship and find someone. So, or another thing is, if you're searching for it so much, men or women can see that on you, so they'll use that to their advantage, and they'll know that you're searching for it so much, so they can do certain things and whatever, and use that to their advantage and get away with it.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's so important to know what it is you want. Like, I'm not really someone that follows like a manifestation. Like, I'm not really there with that in my head, but I do believe like you have to put yourselves in better scenarios. And the scenarios that I'm putting myself, I am not going to meet a husband. Like, I'm just not. Like, even if it's the types of venues I go to or the types of events I feel comfortable in, like, there is no husband in there. Let me tell you now. There is no husband in there. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's not. Like, and I come away and had a great night or whatever, but that's not what I want. And I'm not really a big party person anyway. Like, it takes me a while to feel comfortable in certain areas around certain people. So that's at my own detriment. But like, I think I just need to have like clean slate, like fresh environment.
You're not going to find a husband in the bashment dance.
Don't out me like that.
You need to go to the shard for that, baby. We can be our own biggest problem.
100%.
You're moaning that you want something, but then you go into places where
100%.
you're going to find Desmond with 10 baby mums. Instead of husband material.
100%.
No, I'm glad that I can make you laugh. I wanted to throw a bit of lightheartedness in these, get you laughing, because I know that you're going through a lot at the moment.
I'm going through it right now.
Give you a giggle to uplift you, make you feel a bit better.
No, but it's true though. Like, it is true. Like, I'm somebody that constantly wants to elevate anyway. Like, in whatever I'm doing, whether it be my boxing or whether it be my hiking, like, what's the next place to go to? So obviously it all got stripped away. You know, I've had an injury running and then went to fracture clinic, had the boot off, and then did the other ankle. It was like a run of events that you just couldn't even make up. But I've noticed that those things, the boxing and the gym and the running and the hiking, even podcasting to a degree, is all deflective like behaviour. I'm not healing. And that's a big statement to make after all the things that I've sat and spoke about. And I think I have healed in areas, but I'm not healing.
You're growing, but you're not healing.
Yeah, I'm not healing.
We think that we're healing, but what we're really doing is just keeping ourselves so busy with other stuff that we don't have time to sit and think about what we've really been through.
Yeah. And when I think about that, I just, I don't talk, I don't talk about everything, and I've spoken about bits and bobs, but I've been through it. And that's not to say that some of it wasn't my own doing, because it was. And it started off at quite a young age. Like I'd say fit around 15 was like my first traumatic event. And that stayed, to be honest, that's probably still with me now. But I don't think it has to be a negative thing. I think there's a lot of preconceptions about women with trauma, and I think a lot of men are quite quick to comment, saying, "Oh, she's got a whole heap of baggage," or "she's damaged goods," etc. And you have to find a fine line between talking about it and not talking about it. I've always, in the past, I've been someone that's been like, I've got PTSD, I was beaten up, blah, blah. But you have to be very careful, because men will use that as a weakness because they know you've been abused once.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So I'm now somebody that if you watch my podcast, cool.
Yeah.
I'm on YouTube, I'm on a whole heap of them.
Yeah.
If you watch it, cool, and you hear me talk about it, lovely. But I'm not going to lead with that. Because that's not who I am. It's who I was, and it's who I have been, but it's not who I am now. And I would never allow half the things that, nearly all the things that I've put up with in my past. But has it made me a nicer person? Probably. I was a bit of a loudmouth, a bit cocky. I was raised very well, but rebelled even worse. And I think trauma's calmed me.
That's one thing that, this is going completely off topic, and sorry to interrupt when you was in the middle of saying something then, but that's one thing about that thing the other day that's just played on my mind when you said that. The girl that was being rude on the bus, and people was talking about the parents. I'm not being funny, but you can have the best upbringing ever, but when you leave that house and you're with your friends, you put on a different persona and act different, and you can be rude little girl with attitude, that, you know what I mean? Like, and I just thought how, like, even after the mum commented and took full accountability and said, that is my daughter, because she didn't have to do that.
No, she didn't.
She admitted it, and she says, and I'm ashamed, and it's being dealt with. And then people in the comments was just really like slating her, what kind of mother are you to raise that? And she was saying, like, I didn't raise her like that, but your parents can raise you well, and you can rebel, and you know what I mean?
I think my backstory, like a bit of backstory on my upbringing. My dad was a policeman, so you can imagine how strict he was. My mum was a nurse, so they worked back-to-back shifts. I had a very, very stable child minding situation. It was always a grandparent, never really got put with strangers. I was very good at school in terms of exams, but I was quite a naughty kid. But it's now at the age of 31 probably been missed that I have ADHD, and it now explains a lot of how I felt quite rejected as a kid. It was always, be quiet. Why are you so loud? Why do you have to show me up? Why do you have to do this? And it had an impact on me. And I have had this conversation with my parents now, and they definitely did treat me different to my sister, because obviously they learnt the mistakes because I was the older one. And now I think we're closer than ever. Like, I have the most beautiful relationship with my parents now. And it's been really difficult. And I've had to have very, very difficult conversations with them about how I felt as a kid. Because I never really liked the saying childhood trauma, because I was blessed as a kid. I'm not even going to lie. I was the kid that had fresh coat every year and car on the drive at 17.
But then this is what people don't understand, because childhood trauma is... It's not even necessary something happened to you in your childhood. Say, like, for instance, some people get molested and all kinds of really, really bad things. It can sometimes just be that, like, you didn't feel understood by your parents.
And that's I didn't feel understood at school. I was always better in more active things, so art, drama, music, PE, like those types of things, which is typical behavioural ADHD. But I think it was just missed, and maybe it was a little bit of don't really want to deal with that. My mum and dad have had that conversation, that maybe it was missed, but like, having had those conversations, I understand myself as a kid, and that's the most important thing. Like, all my teachers would just say, she's great, but she just needs to walk the walk and stop talking the talk. But that's another sign of behavioural stuff. And I think I just went through the whole of my high school years being completely misunderstood, and it ended in, I went down a very, very wrong path. I ended up with the wrong crowd of friends and a boyfriend very young, and I was drinking and trying to strive off school. And I came out of school with great grades. I was very fortunate. I didn't have to study. My sister got better grades, but she had to work her backside off to get them grades, whereas I walked through school. Like, I was just very fortunate. But I now at 31 understand why I felt like that, and that is so freeing. Because it doesn't mean that it was wrong. It just means, I couldn't really make friends. Like, I was friends with everybody. I didn't really have a set group of friends. I was just friends with absolutely everybody.
That's a typical characteristic for autistic people
as well. Yeah.
Because you know how to fit in any environment. You know how to mask. Girls do it more than boys. That's why girls get diagnosed later on in life. But you know how to mask it. When you're a girl, you can go to any crowd and act like them, and go to another crowd and act like them, and fit in anywhere.
I always worried as well. Like, I started this journey of like self-awareness. I always realised I was a little bit different. Like I am one of a kind. But like I used to think, oh my God, what are people going to think? You've got PTSD, ADHD, you might be on the spectrum. I just don't care, because the person that is supposed to be, or the people that are supposed to be around me, won't care about any of that.
Yeah.
And if you're going to judge me because I found out who I am, you're not supposed to be in my path anyway.
Well, like he says, the people that are supposed to be in your life will be in your life, and this is when things like this is when you actually tell like who's meant to be there and who's not. Because if something like that, like if a diagnosis can make someone not want to talk to you, then they wasn't your true family member or your true friend or whatever. And people are just too embarrassed and too ashamed to talk about these things. They really, really are. And it's just ignorant people and rude people that like make comments on children with like autism and ADHD that don't understand it, that probably don't know anybody in their family, or they've never met anyone with it, and they just like make them stupid comments like, oh, they ain't got ADHD, they're just a naughty child.
I think as well, like, I think as a I'm going to say, let's just say nation, let's not put it on a generational thing. I think people only see one image when you say something. So if you say depressed, you see bed or low. If you see ADHD, it's the naughty kid at school. If it's autistic, it's somebody with extreme symptoms. That people aren't educating themselves on, like, people would never know. Like, if you came into paths with me, you'd never know, because I've dealt with it. I'm self-aware. I know my triggers. I know my signs and symptoms of where I'm having a bit of a moment, and I can minimize it by being educated. It's only, to be honest, working in mental health has been the biggest wake-up call, because I was seeing things in other people that I was feeling myself. But I'd rather know exactly who I am as a person to become the best version of myself than sit in denial and scared of a label. I know some people don't like labels, and that's absolutely fine, but I've thrived off them, because as long as I know, I can work on it. And I'm not ashamed of it. So, as much as I really appreciate you saying like it's good that I'm open and honest, I want more people to feel at peace in knowing exactly who they are.
Yeah, and this is why it's like I just said to you, like, I've got admiration for you because you're so open and honest. You don't care if you're going to be judged. You don't care what people are going to think when it comes out on social media, and whether they're going to take it in a good or bad way, or think bad of you, or what they're going to comment and stuff. You'll just be honest and give the real deal and the raw, authentic, true. Say it how it is, because you know that it might be able to help just one person that's watching, that's feeling the same. Like, if anyone knows about being judged and stuff, it's the people that have been through the toughest stuff in life themselves and come out and spoke about it, because we don't have to do this. Like, I've had someone make a comment the other day saying that I've got no shame because I'm doing these podcasts talking about my domestic violent relationship. I've got no shame. Why would I want to come and sit on a podcast and tell people my whole life? It's embarrassing. Like, that doesn't bother me. That goes straight over my head, because you might think I've got no shame, but then there might be a lady that's sitting at home going through it herself that I'm helping right now. And there's people in my inbox that watched the first one I did with you, saying, oh, thank you, like, I've been through the same myself. So,
sometimes it's just about being heard as well. Like, I've been very, very, very fortunate with my podcasting journey. I've not really had that much comeback. I've had a couple of comments when I've made comments when I was hosting on another one, etc. But I have been very fortunate that I've not really had anything negative back. But I think the people that do comment negative stuff, or people that get drawn out, or people that berate others, it just shows you've got issues you're not dealing with.
They're projecting.
People that go out of their way to make people feel less than they are. Like, you're a horrible person.
Yeah, I would never, like, if I, like, scrolling through my Insta feed and I see a blog page and it's, like, a reel of a podcast, I would never go on there and, like, comment, oh, she's a fat hippo, or, like, who does that? Like, the only people that do that have obviously, they've got issues themselves, so they're projecting. Like, what good would you get out of that? Like, how is that going to make your day feel any bit better from talking down on someone else? Do you know what I mean? So it's always people that have got their own insecurities that go in the comment, you know, the trolls that, and it's always, they've always got like 0 followers, 0 posts, and that they're on fake pages because they can't even do it off their own page. So I'm glad that I'm thick-skinned and I'm a person like that, because nothing bothers me. If anything, I try and have banter with them back in the comments.
Yeah, like I've had people, like, quite famous people that you wouldn't even, like, I'm not someone to talk names or ever post on. I don't even have that many people on Instagram. Like, I'm not really big like that, but I've had people reach out to me that I really respect in certain, let's say music industries or film industries, that have said to me, like, you know what, big up yourself, because there aren't many females that would sit there and speak the truth like you do. Like, oh, I've just come across this clip or whatever, and I get absolutely, like, shook of, like, I can't believe these people have even seen me, or I've been walking through the ball ring and someone stopped me and said, oh my god, you know that episode, like, and I'm no celebrity, like, and I don't want to be. I am an undercover, stay at home, don't party, I'm not big on social media girl, that's who I am, but it makes me happy to know that I'm having an impact, or people are proud of my journey, or people are seeing what I'm trying to do, because I don't want to be just another stat where I'm pretending to be something I'm not on a podcast. I will never do that. And that's why I only go on certain podcasts. I won't get asked to go on out there podcasts because I'm not interested enough. And that's fine, because I'm not there for clout. I'm not there for validation. I just want to help people. And that's what my job is. And that's who I am as a person. And if I can sit on podcasts where people are actively listening to my story and hearing it, then that's all I can ask for.
You don't want to devalue your own self just to get more followers, or just to, you know, go viral, or just to, and that's a good thing, and it's good that you can sit and say that, because there's not a lot of people left like that. You just want to be real. You just want to say what's going on in your life, the real deal, what you've been through, what you've learned from it, and hopefully it can help somebody else that's going through the same.
Absolutely. I'm just mental health and Arsenal mad. That's it. There's no in between with me. I'm sports mad and big on mental health and helping people be the best versions of themselves they can be.
Yeah.
Without trying to become something I'm not. Because I like the hidden life. I like, you know, I know a lot of people, but I just like being in my little bubble. But I've just got to make sure that bubble is a bubble that's valued and an environment that's healthy for me. And I think that's just where I'm at right now.
So how far are you along with the so have you actually done like a formal, like, referral for the ADHD stuff?
Yeah, so they sent me 2 like sort of forms, I guess. One was for autism, one was for ADHD. I mean, they're pretty standard forms. And they had said it could be a long process.
Yeah, it's normally like a 12-month wait.
Yeah, it's like
and you have to circle the scores where you have to circle.
Yeah. And it's much harder to get diagnosed as an adult than it is as a child, because you've gone so far without any assistance. But I am going to push it. I am going to keep saying, you know, it's very important that I'm able to control my emotions at work and away from work, because I now have a responsibility as a healthcare professional as to how I act in and out of work. And I'm just a bit sick of being exhausted, to be honest. My brain don't stop. I know there's like I'm a tourist, not that that makes any difference, but they would say a tourist brain goes 10 to a dozen. Like, I just wish I could take it out sometimes and just put it on charge for a minute. Like, I just feel like I've got 100 and I'm not somebody that can watch a film. Like, if I'm watching a film, I'm playing a game on my phone, or I'm looking at clothes online, or I'm doing something. I can't just sit and do one thing, and it's exhausting.
Is like classic ADHD symptoms.
Yeah.
And you probably wouldn't even think this, but like when you were saying, like, people see things and they see it literal, so like they see depression and they see bed, they see someone that's autistic and they think that like they're going to be majorly severely autistic. But I don't even know whether you would have picked up on this, but obviously, like, before we came here, you came to my house. My oldest daughter's got autism and my middle daughter's got ADHD. Now, Aaliyah, my 12-year-old daughter that's got autism, she was diagnosed when she was 7, but people wouldn't know.
No,
If I didn't tell people, they'd never know. You would never be able, because she's a high-functioning person
yeah.
with autism. But people obviously now I've said it on the podcast and whatever, but normally I don't even really say to people anyway, apart from if it's my friends or family that
Yeah.
know, like obviously they are close to me, like my mum, my aunties, my best friends, like they all know anyway. But people just judge so much,
They
like,
really do.
and they just make their sarcastic little comments or just stereotypes and just say, like, it's always the same thing, one thing that people, and they don't know the first thing about autism or whatever,
No.
but people really do judge, and they're just, I just feel like people are just ignorant in this world, and ignorance is bliss to some people, and some people are just rude and ignorant.
I was in a
So,
situation recently. It was coming back from a night out. We'd been to some event and we was in a car. The music was on. Somebody was on the phone in the back of the car. And the guy drove a little bit fast. Not like he wasn't speeding, but like when you're just driving a bit like, I don't know how to pronounce, like he weren't speeding or anything like that, but he was just driving, not erratic either, but just a bit very quick movements. And I just could not deal with it. Like I could not deal with it. And the car was full of people that I know, but they don't know that side of me. And by the time the car stopped, my whole body was physically shaking. Now, he hadn't put me at risk in any way, shape or form. Like the driving wasn't bad. But because of the person on the phone, the music playing and everything else, like the conversations that were popping in the car, and I was completely overstimulated, and my body was I was physically shaking from head to toe. And the driver looked at me and was like, what's going on? Like completely shocked that I could ever be like that. But I think it's important to let people know those scenarios. You don't want to walk around with a label on your chest saying these are the things that trigger me. But if you're in a scenario like that, speak up, because it will only be at your detriment if you keep quiet. And I had to go home. Like I was done. Like that night, I had a great night. I was very fortunate to have been like quite calm in a very packed environment. Like I really am trying to break these triggers that I have. And I'm trying to put myself in scenarios that make me feel slightly uncomfortable to become comfortable. But, running from it's not going to change it. Like it's absolutely not. I've made very, very structured decisions around work. I will not pick up the phone unless the door's shut in the office. I will not pick up the phone during med rounds because I can't deal with thinking about meds whilst I'm on the phone. Or, if a resident is showing behaviour, I'll just stop doing meds straight away because it's too risky for me to make a med error or snap at a resident. So I just deal with one thing at a time. And it doesn't matter whether medication's late or if something needs to be given, I will ask for support. But I think that's where I've lacked it in my personal life. I'm not making strategic choices that better myself. I'm putting myself in environments that are triggering me or bringing up past trauma or behaviours that I shouldn't be allowing. And I'm becoming more and more aware of it. So I know the change is coming. I think I've just had to build a little bit more strength around making those choices.
You're putting yourself last. You putting a lot of other things first. And you're not making your own personal mental health and your own personal healing journey and yourself a priority. And I'm the same, to be honest. Like I said, I openly admitted I'm still a people pleaser, not as much as I used to be.
No.
I used to just be a mug, like a complete and utter mug, and I'm still a people pleaser. But I've changed. I've slowly started changing, slowly started putting boundaries in place. I won't go out of my way to do things. Like before, I just say yes.
I think boundaries is a really prevalent word. Like, putting yourself first is quite an easy thing to say, but putting boundaries in place is really difficult. Like, people underestimate how difficult it is to put boundaries in place. Like, I've had to put boundaries in place for family. Like, I'll say to my mum, I'm not coming over. Like, I can't. Like, I felt guilty because I couldn't see my grandma because obviously of my injury, I couldn't really drive that far. And like, boundaries has been something I've really struggled with. No, you're not coming to my house. No, you're not driving my car. No, you're not, like, all these things that I would like, take the car, no problem.
Because people start thinking, then they see this different side of you and they start thinking, whoa, hold on, she said yes every single time before. So now they think, oh, what, she thinks she's too nice now? Or, oh, like, and, it is... Honestly, I think it's something that for the rest of our lives until the day that we die, we'll still have to work on setting boundaries and stuff. And it will never be easy. It will always be hard. But I used to be the person that would just say yes to anything. Like, someone could phone me at 3 o'clock in the morning and say, oh, I'm stranded in Nottingham or London, will you come and get me? And I'd be the kind of person that would be like, oh yeah, let me figure out a way. Like, even though I've got kids, like, if I can't get you, I'll figure out a way for someone. I'll arrange for someone else to pick you up and get you back safe. And do you know what I mean? Like, and I'd just say yes straight away. And like, I'd never really think, like, everyone would ask me for favours, even just down to like, can you borrow me money? And I'd never even think. I'd just say yes straight away and do it.
Yeah.
And then like, I'd end up with the person not paying me back and all of the rest of it. But
I think a lot of the times that I'd say yes is because I was lonely. Do you want to go here? Do you want to go there? Can you take me here? Can you take me there? Like, it was like a human interaction from someone that needed me.
Yeah.
But they weren't needing me. They were knowing that I would doing it. Yeah. And I think that's a really important thing to touch on. Like, it's very okay to admit that you've allowed certain behaviour because you're lonely. Like, I have everything I could want in my life. I have great friends, great family. You know, I have my own place. I drive a nice car. Got a good career, but I'm still lonely.
Yeah.
You know, everybody around, all my friends know that I would love to meet somebody that just played their role and looked after me and allowed me to be that submissive self that I am dying to be, and have that unit that is like a ride or die person that would protect me. Because I've never had that. Like, any relationship I've been in, I've almost been the leader in it. Like, I've done everything for them. I've been their protector. I've been their
played like
provider.
The mommy role, really.
Pretty much,
some
yeah.
men want a woman that's going to play the mommy role.
Pretty much, yeah. And like, they would show it at times, which would keep me around. But I haven't got that in me anymore. Like, I'm not desperate for a relationship, don't get me wrong, but I definitely don't want to go through life and not experience that loving, stable, healthy relationship with your best friend.
Yeah. You need someone that's going to look after you now, and you need someone that's going to put in the same effort that you do, not you putting in 90% and then putting in 10. You need like a 50-50.
But at the same time, I'm not doing anything to find that person.
No, but I think that at the moment, you should just...
Oh, 100%.
Actively look. You
100%.
should just actively work on yourself, and then it will come in its time.
I think I've been always having so many distractions, uni, my job, pandemic, like... There's always been something else to distract myself from actually working on me.
Yeah.
And now I haven't really got a choice because everything's finished. I haven't got to care for my granddads anymore. I haven't got to go to uni. It's all done. So the only thing I have left to do is me.
Yeah. You've always had something to focus on, to take your mind off of everything else and to take your mind off of the true healing. So now you've been forced. You've completed everything what you set out to do. It's all done now, so you've been forced to sit down and think about it.
Literally.
Yeah. Well, the universe works in mysterious ways, and maybe that's why you've had a double ankle injury.
Yeah, literally
within 4 weeks of each other, because you needed to sit down and slow down and think, hold on a second, what I'm doing here ain't right, and something's not working for me.
I mean, it was a painful way to learn, but...
But something good will come out of it.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I mean? So,
and I think it already is.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think
you're realising that's the main thing. As long as you're self-aware and you're realising, and you know, like, you're not ignorant and you're not just, you know what I mean, pretending to be someone that you're not, then that's the main thing. But I just want to say thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate you coming on as a guest, as always.
Never.
Appreciate you being so honest, open, real, raw, authentic, true.
And add them to my CV.
To name a few.
I think it's important. I think people fear showing who they really are these days, and it makes me sad. I feel like we're not no one's perfect. Yeah. It doesn't matter how good you think you are.
There'll
or
never
how
be a
prevalent
person in the world ever.
Nah, never. And I think your flaws have the biggest impact in people's lives.
I think just you doing what you do. There's definitely people that probably don't even comment or like the stuff, because some people really don't want people to know what they're going through, and they think if I put a comment underneath or like it, people are going to know I'm feeling the same. But there's definitely people that will see it and it will have a positive impact on them, or they'll feel like they're not alone. So yeah, thank you for coming on and doing this first. You're always my first episode. You was my first episode of the Missing Piece podcast. You've been the first episode for the Missing Piece Therapy Chats with Elisha. You're always the first one to come and start it off for me. So I appreciate it. For the viewers as well, I did say earlier that obviously October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And there's a few services that I'm going to plug in for you. So obviously there's Women's Aid, which is a big organisation which a lot of people have probably heard of and know about. But you've also got the National Centre of Domestic Violence, or you can even type in NCDV on Google. That helps with you getting non-molestation orders, restraining orders, helps with all the legal stuff. It's free of charge. It's free to call off any mobile, so if you haven't got any credit or anything like that. Then you've got Coventry Haven, who you can contact for Women's Refuge. There's also Refuge organisation who I'm working alongside with at the moment. And yeah, like I said, if anyone ever wanted to reach out to me, you can. But if you want that, professional support, then they're the organisations to contact. And obviously, in an emergency, it would be 999 if your life's in danger or something serious is happening to you. But yeah, thank you, Emmy, for coming on and
You're welcome.
doing
Thank you
this
for having me.
doing this episode with me today. And guys, please just like, subscribe, share. If you like the content that I'm doing, please, I just urge you to just like, it's okay, people watching the episodes and stuff, but please, please, please subscribe and like and leave comments and get the engagement going as well. And thank you. Yeah, we're out.